Tonight, mortgage rates plunge and stock prices rise after the government bails out Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. We'll look at what brought down the once mighty mortgage giants. I'm Jeff Glor. Also tonight, Hurricane Ike. The killer storm rips across Cuba and now could be setting its sights on Texas or Louisiana. In the presidential race, our new poll shows John McCain got a healthy bounce from the Republican convention. And something new under the sun on the Pacific Ocean. We'll take you paddle surfing.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening. Katie's off tonight. The massive government bailout of mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac had an immediate impact on mortgage markets. Mortgage rates dropped sharply, and Wall Street gave it a thumbs up. The Dow gained nearly 300 points. The federal government plans to inject as much as $100 billion into each company, which means it could be one of the biggest bailouts in U.S. history. Fannie and Freddie were formed to make mortgage money available at low rates, and their collapse could have sent financial shockwaves around the world. Anthony Mason begins our coverage.
The government takeover of the country's two mortgage giants started mortgage rates tumbling down more than a quarter point today to 6.2%, and expect them to keep falling, economists say.
Mortgage rates should come down quickly and significantly.
Mark Zandi is chief economist with Moody's Economy.com.
I think we should see rates well below 6% within the next few weeks.
Together, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac own or guarantee about half of the mortgages in the country. And as foreclosures surged, they looked increasingly in danger.
Bottom line, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac didn't have enough capital to withstand all the mortgage losses that were headed their way.
Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson said the government couldn't allow that to happen.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are so large and so interwoven in our financial system that a failure of either of them would cause great turmoil in the financial markets here at home and around the globe.
So in an unprecedented takeover, the government took control of both companies, replaced their CEOs, and agreed to provide up to $200 billion to cover bad loans.
The step that was taken was tantamount to nationalizing most of the mortgage market.
When you buy a house, you take out a loan from a bank. The bank will then sell that loan to Fannie or Freddie, who in turn repackage the mortgages and sell them to investors. But many of those investors were losing faith in Fannie and Freddie, making it difficult for them to raise money and threatening a freeze of the credit markets. The government takeover was designed to restore confidence.
The important thing here is it's reduced a lot of the uncertainty.
And the drop in interest rates today suggests that so far it's working. But economists say this by itself will not end the housing crisis or start a rebound in home prices, Jeff.
So, Anthony, a lot of people asking tonight, will this make it easier to get home loans?
Well, not in the sense of that it's going to relax standards, but it will loosen up the money supply, and it already has lowered interest rates. And in that sense, it will be easier to get and to afford a loan.
At least maybe a little bit of good news. Yeah. Anthony Mason, thank you. So how did we get to this point? What brought these financial powerhouses to the brink of collapse? Critics say it was a combination of the company's political clout and too little government regulation. Here's Chief Investigative Correspondent Armin Katayan.
Whenever Fannie and Freddie found themselves in trouble, they would invariably point the finger to a government mandate that dates back to the Depression, the need to provide affordable housing to every American. To help make that happen, the government granted them privileged status, including guaranteed lines of credit, exemption from state and local taxes, and limited oversight.
You'd have people in Congress that would make it very clear that they wanted nothing to touch Fannie and Freddie.
Former Congressman Jim Leach says he tried to hold Fannie and Freddie's financial feet to the fire with little or no success.
At one point in time, they had more lobbyists in their employee than I think any institution ever.
In fact, CBS News has learned Fannie and Freddie now boast nearly 150 lobbyists, spending almost $175 million combined over the last decade alone, more than pharmaceutical giant Pfizer and defense contractor Boeing. The mortgage giants doled out $2 million more over the last 4 years to political action committees, money used as a weapon to fend off regulation that would have required them to maintain deeper financial reserves, to act as a cushion to the kind of risky loans that led to their undoing.
Fannie and Freddie were thuggish. The people who worked there misled other people. They used political power in an ugly way.
A few years ago, Fannie was fined nearly $400 million after an investigation revealed it overstated earnings by $10 billion to maximize executive pay. That cost former CEO Franklin Raines his job, but not 65 of the $90 million he received in bonuses and compensation. Now the CEOs who presided over the demise of Fannie and Freddie are out the door as well, walking away with some $30 million, while every American, it seems, is paying the price. Armin Katayan, CBS News, New York.
In the presidential campaign, Barack Obama got a bounce from his convention. Now John McCain has done the same. After the Democrats met, Obama opened up an 8-point lead among registered voters, but that evaporated during the Republican convention. And according to a new CBS News poll out tonight, John McCain now has a 2-point lead, the first time he's been ahead in our poll. His choice for a running mate gets at least some of the credit. Chip Reed is covering the McCain-Palin campaign.
As John McCain and Sarah Palin worked an adoring crowd in the suburbs of Kansas City, Missouri, it was easy to see that Palin has energized not only Republican voters, but McCain himself.
What a great reformer!
A big part of her job is to fire up the crowd, and she does it as well as anyone.
There is only one man in this election who has ever really fought for you.
Not surprisingly, the new CBS News poll shows that the enthusiasm gap with Barack Obama has narrowed dramatically. Before the conventions, Obama led McCain 48-24. Now he leads by just 53-42. And much of that progress is because of Palin. Her convention speech affected a higher percentage of voters than Obama or McCain, and 85% of McCain's supporters are glad he picked her.
I would not be out here if it weren't for Sarah Palin.
The plan had been for McCain and Palin to be campaigning separately by now, but McCain changed the plan. He decided they should stay together a while longer to try to take advantage of this wave of momentum.
But Palin also found herself in the middle of controversy today over a new ad by the McCain campaign touting her opposition to an infamous pork barrel project.
She stopped the bridge to nowhere.
The Obama campaign fired back, calling that a lie and releasing their own hard-hitting ad.
She was for the bridge to nowhere before she was against it.
Obama himself took his hardest swing at Palin yet.
You can't just reinvent yourself. The American people aren't stupid.
In fact, Palin did originally support the bridge and changed sides only after the federal funding was killed.
It's more like she performed the last rites. The earmark was pretty much dead at the point that it got to her.
Still, the Obama campaign is concerned enough about Palin that a senior official today said the campaign is debating whether to shift the focus away from McCain and onto her. Chip Reed, CBS News, Lee's Summit, Missouri.
Now here's a look at what's coming up on the CBS News Campaign 08 calendar. Tomorrow, Barack Obama's new campaign book, Change We Can Believe In, goes on sale. On Thursday, September 11th, John McCain and Barack Obama will make a joint appearance at a memorial service at Ground Zero in New York, marking the 7th anniversary of the terror attacks. And on Friday, September 26th, the two candidates hold their first debate in Mississippi. Now, the big story we're following tonight is Hurricane Ike. It weakened today to a Category 1, but not before cutting a deadly path over Cuba and the Caribbean. Ike also took a slight turn to the west and is now expected to miss the Florida Keys. Kelly Colbiella in Miami has the latest.
For the third straight day, an unstoppable Hurricane Ike barreled through the Caribbean, a storm so powerful it destroyed or damaged 85% of the buildings on the Turks and Caicos, flooded Haiti with torrential rains, killing at least 58 people, and still had enough strength to smash into Cuba's northeastern shore as a Category 3 this morning. CBS News producer Portia Siegelbaum is in Havana.
Cubans were shocked to see these first pictures showing Ike's impact on Baracoa on the northern tip of Guantanamo. Tsunami-like waves topping 5-story apartment buildings, water bursting through barriers, flooding homes. Storm surge ripped away doors and windows.
Florida has been spared the worst of Ike, but is still feeling some of its effects. Strong winds and dangerous rip currents.
God bless the Coast Guard.
Walter Marino found out just how dangerous when he and his 12-year-old autistic son, Chris, were swept out to sea Saturday night off Daytona Beach. They were rescued 12 hours later. Chris was more than 10 miles from shore, treading water.
We're just so happy that they were found and they're in such great condition. I'm just excited to bring my son home.
In Miami, evacuees who left the Florida Keys are staying put for now. Ike may still graze the island chain with tropical storm force winds on its way into the Gulf of Mexico and onto its next target. Kelly Kobiella, CBS News, Miami.
Okay, so what is Ike's next target? Florida's good fortune could mean bad luck for Texas or Louisiana. Early show weather anchor Dave Price is in Key West tonight. Dave, first of all, what is Ike doing right now?
Well, it's hard to believe that it's attacking an island nation just about 90 miles to the south here in Key West because the weather is so beautiful here. Although the winds are kicking up, Jeff, it's about 200 miles to the southeast of Havana at this point, moving to the west at about 14 miles per hour. That's a good clip. It should turn towards the west-northwest tonight, go over the central Cuban coast tonight, and then towards western Cuba tomorrow. Tomorrow night, it gets into the Gulf. Now, hurricane-force winds extend 35 miles from the center. Tropical storm-force winds 175 miles from the center. And the Keys still could expect 1 to 3 inches of rain, gusty winds, and a dangerous rip current.
Dave, at this point, though, as far as where it might make landfall, Texas, Louisiana, still a lot of options on the table.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to know, where is it going to go and when? And the answer is we simply don't know yet. This track is going to bring it to the center of the Gulf by Thursday. Landfall potentially, depending on speed, forward speed, sometime late Friday into Saturday in the western Gulf. It could be Texas, it could be Louisiana, and we could prepare for some wobble and some unknowns. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Jeff?
Okay, Dave Price, thank you so much in Key West tonight. In other news this evening, the next president will enter office with about the same number of U.S. troops in Iraq as there are now. President Bush will announce tomorrow that he intends to keep troop levels at about 150,000 through the end of this year. In a Washington speech, he'll outline plans to bring 8,000 troops home starting in mid-January. It is the reason you have to put your toiletries in a plastic bag when you go to the airport. A terror case in London ended today with a split verdict. 3 British men were convicted of conspiracy to murder hundreds, but the jury could not reach a verdict on the most serious charge, that they planned to blow up transatlantic jetliners using liquid explosives. After their arrest 2 years ago, the TSA imposed a 3-ounce limit on most liquids and creams that passengers carry on board. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, the alarming rate of infant mortality in our nation's capital, and one woman's struggle to make a difference, one baby at a time. You might not be aware of it, but infant mortality in this country is a major problem. The government says that for every 1,000 babies under a year old, nearly 7 die. In 2005, that was nearly 28,000 deaths. Among industrial nations, 28 have lower infant mortality rates than the U.S. The problem is especially bad in our nation's capital. Wyatt Andrews has the story of a woman who's trying to change that in tonight's Eye on Your Health.
Oh, you're such a big, heavy person.
Every time Ruth Lubick fusses over a healthy baby, the joy in her voice comes from 8 long years of beating the odds. Here in Washington, D.C., where the infant mortality rate is almost double the national average, Ruth Lubick and her team of midwives run a birthing clinic in one of the city's poorest areas. After some 800 babies, the team has never lost a child in childbirth and has cut the rate of premature births, the biggest risk factor for infant mortality, in half.
You're saving a lot of lives here.
Saving lives and also increasing the quality of life.
Ruth built her clinic in Washington, D.C. on purpose. She figured if her ideas worked here, if she could tackle infant mortality in Washington, she'd set an example everywhere.
Her approach is simple. She believes low-income women, many on Medicaid, need the prenatal education that midwives provide.
Over onto your side.
Everything from posture to nutrition to how the baby grows.
Press right in here. Thanks.
Anike Oliver, who just had a baby boy, Yukama, said she got more time with the midwives than she had with a doctor.
They wanted to make sure I had
as much information as they did.
Do you think it boils down to the time you spend with them?
I think so. I'm convinced that that's what it is. It's time, it's respect, it's treating people with dignity.
What's most remarkable is that Ruth still does this at 81 years old. She runs this clinic during the week, then runs home on the weekends to her husband in New York.
You could be retired.
I'm not tired the first time, much less retired.
Do you believe her results?
Absolutely.
Ruth's biggest fan is D.C. City Councilman David Catania. He says because Ruth keeps hundreds of babies out of prenatal care, she saves the city around $1 million a year. That's why he supports her when Ruth hounds the city council for funding.
While I tease her a lot about being kind of a pit bull with a smile, I look at her sometimes with complete envy about how you can have such a burning drive at 81. And it's a great inspiration.
I'm insufferable because of my my belief that what I'm doing is the right thing to do.
Lubick believes infant mortality is a national disgrace, but a disgrace that midwives can help solve. And this pit bull with a smile won't let go of that idea until it sinks in nationwide. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Washington.
Finally tonight, you've heard of stand-up comedy, but how about stand-up paddle surfing? It's a new take on an old sport, and as Sandra Hughes reports, it's gaining popularity among water lovers and comedians alike.
Surf legend Laird Hamilton made a name for himself by taming some of the world's biggest waves. He created toe-in surfing to get to previously unreachable monsters.
If you know anything about me, I'm always looking for a new way to, cut an apple.
Or catch a wave. His latest twist on the ancient Hawaiian tradition is called stand-up paddle surfing, and it may seem boring by comparison, but Hamilton says it was the best way to introduce his 4-year-old daughter Reese to the ocean.
Standing on a board and being above the water is a very secure position to be in.
It's taking off everywhere, but not everyone sees the point.
Is this to train ultimately to be a gondolier? What do you...
I've actually taught quite a few people how to surf this way. Everybody can do it.
That sounded like a challenge.
Paddle out a little ways, I'll be right there.
Even to this non-surfing Midwesterner.
Okay, now that we're out here, now I want you to stand up.
With Laird Hamilton's instruction,
nice.
Standing up was easy.
Yeah, bend the knees.
Oh my gosh, this is great! I'm doing it!
Staying up, not so much.
You're gonna get a little bump there. There you go, there you go. There, whoa! Oh.
Because of concerns about loose paddles and boards, these stand-up boards are up to 12 feet long. Some beaches have drawn a line in the sand, separating surfers from stand-up paddlers.
Some traditional surfers say the paddlers are stealing their waves.
These guys are already up and riding long before you even think about turning around to catch the wave. So it's just like, okay, here they go again. It pretty much ruins the session for everybody else.
It's a new sport, so people are just beginning. If you look at what snowboarding was to skiing, it was like, oh, it was banned at every resort when it first came out, and no one, because everybody that was doing it was dangerous because they were just learning.
Once you get the hang of it,
we have a survivor!
Hanging 10 is just as easy with a paddle in hand, and sometimes more fun. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Malibu.
That is the CBS Evening News. Katie will be back tomorrow. I'm Jeff Glor. Good night.